This video covers Module 10 Homework 1, which is solving systems of linear equations based off problem solving. So it says, a plane traveled 4,160 miles with the wind in 6.5 hours and 3,510 miles against the wind at the same time. It asks us to find the speed of the plane in still air and the speed of the wind. So the first thing we're going to have to do is define our variables. What am I looking for? So we're looking for the speed of the plane in still air. We can call this x, and the speed of the wind, which we can call this y. So I'm just going to label this out as let x equal the speed of the plane in still air and we're going to let y equal the speed of the wind. Speed of wind. All right, so now we have to come up with an equation. It tells us the speed of the, it tells us the plane traveled 4,160 miles with the wind. So the speed of the plane plus the wind, with the wind. So the plane and the wind, so x plus y. I have a speed of the plane plus the speed of the wind. So speed plus speed will have to equal another speed. So we have to come up with a speed. So 4,160 miles in 6.5 hours. This will give us miles per hour. This will give us a speed. So the speed of the plane with the wind, so speed of the plane plus the speed of the wind equals miles per hour, which is another speed. Same concept, the speed 3,510 miles against the wind. So now we have the speed of the plane against, so minus the speed of the wind. Same concept, a speed minus a speed will have to give us another speed. So we have 3,510 miles in the same time, so still in 6.5 hours. So I can simplify this. So we have x plus y equals 4,160 divided by 6.5 will give us 640. Same concept here, x minus y equals 3,510 divided by 6.5 will give us 540. We now have a system of equations we can solve. You can either use graphing, which I would not advise because the numbers are so big, elimination or substitution, totally up to you. For me, we're looking at this, I have a positive y and I have a negative y. So those already cancel out. So we can now use elimination to solve the system. We can now use elimination to solve the system. So we can add these two equations together. So x plus x will give us 2x. Y minus y, or y's will cancel out nicely for us. And that will equal 640 plus 540 will give us 1180. Getting x by itself, we're going to divide both sides by 2. That will tell me x equals 590. Going back up here, remember x was the speed of the plane in still air. This was miles per hour. And this I need to label it because x and y was just stuff that we've used. The problem didn't give us x or y. So this will be the speed of the plane in still air. The speed of the plane in still air. So we did the first part. Now we need to find the speed of the wind. So I can plug this back into either equation. Doesn't matter, totally up to you. I'll plug it into the first one. So if we have x plus y equals 590. Oh, I'm sorry, I messed this up. Let's just start over. We don't have that. We have x plus y equals, going back up here to the original problem, 640. We now know that x is 590. There we go. So 590 plus y equals 640. We're trying to solve for y. We're trying to get y by itself. So we're going to subtract 590 from both sides. And we are left with y equals 640 minus 590 should give us 50. Again, up here, we're talking about miles per hour. So this will be the speed of the wind. And just for a little clarification, this is miles per hour. So it asks us to find the speed of the plane in still air, which we did was 590 miles per hour. It asks us to find the speed of the wind, which we did as well, was 50 miles per hour. So we solved this first problem. Moving on to the second problem. Find how many quarts of 6% butterfat milk and 1% butterfat milk should be mixed together to yield to give us 50 quarts of 2% butterfat milk. So again, we have to find out, what are we looking for? We're looking for how many quarts of 6%. That'll give us our x. And how many quarts of 1%, that'll be our y, should be mixed together to give us 50 quarts of 2% butterfat milk. So again, we're gonna let x equal number of quarts of 6% butterfat milk, and a y will be number of quarts of 1%. So we found our x and y. Now we need to write our equations. So total, we're gonna have 50 quarts. So our x plus our y, the number of quarts of 6% plus the number of quarts of 1%, total has to give us 50 quarts. So x plus y will have to give us 50. So next, if I have 6% of how many quarts, 6% as a decimal, moving my decimal over twice, will give me 0.06. X plus, same thing for my 1%, moving my decimal over twice to the left will give me 0.01 y. And I want 2%, so 0.02. And then total, I'm gonna have 50 quarts there. So now we can simplify this. This x plus y equals 50 is gonna stay right there. Down here we have 0.06x plus 0.01y equals 0.02 times 50 would give us 1. So again, we can either use elimination or substitution, totally up to you. Last time we did elimination, so this time let's do substitution. So we're gonna use substitution to solve the system. So we can use either equation and solve for either x or y, doesn't matter. I'm gonna pick the first equation because it kind of already has x and y by itself. X plus y equals 50. And I'm gonna solve for y, I'm gonna get y by itself. Totally up to you. So that means I need to subtract x from both sides, and we're left with y equals 50 minus x. So I now have y by itself. So I can now take this, y equals, and I can plug it in to my second equation. So instead of y, I'm gonna write 50 minus x. So I have 0.06x plus 0.01 times 50 minus x, that was my y value, equals 1. So now I have an equation with only x's in it, so I can solve for x. We're gonna start by distributing the 0.01. That will leave us with 0.06x plus 0.01 times 50 will give us 0.5. 0.01 times negative x will give us negative 0.01x equals 1. We're getting closer. We can now combine like terms. So 0.06x minus 0.01x will give us 0.05x plus 0.5 equals 1. Still trying to get x by itself. We can subtract 0.5 from both sides. So 0.05x equals 1 minus 0.5 will give us, again, 0.5. Last but not least, we need to get x by itself. So we are going to divide both sides by 0.05. That way 0.05 divided by 0.05 cancel out, goes to 1. And I'm left with x by itself. So x equals 0.5 divided by 0.05 will give us 10. So I solved for x. I got x was 10. Remember back up here, x was the number of quarts of 6%. So I have 10 quarts of 6% butterfat milk. And this will be my first answer. My first half, 10 quarts of 6%. Now I need to find how many 1%. I can plug this back into either equation. I'm going to choose to plug it into the first one. So if I have x plus y equals 50, we know our x value is 10. So 10 plus y equals 50. Solving for y, we're going to get y by itself. We're going to subtract 10 from both sides. 10 minus 10 goes to 0. It cancels out. We're left with y equals 50 minus 10 is 40. So again, y was the number of quarts of 1%. So 40 quarts of 1% butterfat milk. Solve that one. We're good to go. Rolling on to the next problem. In a particular year, a total of 39,189 students studied in 2 of the most popular host countries when traveling abroad. If 6,367 more students studied in the most popular host country than the second most popular host country, find how many students studied abroad in each country. So we're trying to find our x and y. We're trying to find how many students studied abroad in each country. So we need to find our variables. We're going to let x be the number of students in the most popular host country. And then we're going to let y equal the number of students in the second most popular, oops, what am I doing here? Popular host country. So we defined our variables. We stated what x is, we stated what y is, we stated what we're looking for. So now we need to write our equations. It says total 39,189 students studied in both of the countries together. So however many studied in the most popular, so x, plus however many studied in the second most popular, y, will give us our total of 39,189. And if 6,000 more students studied in the most popular host country than the second most popular host country, we can use that. So that means the most popular will be however many studied in the second most popular, so y, plus 6,367 more students. So the most popular is going to be however many studied in the second most popular, plus 6,367 more students. So now I have my equation set up. Again, you can either use elimination or you can use substitution. It's already x equals, so let's use substitution. To solve the system. So we have x plus y equals 39,189. We know that x is the same thing as saying however many is in y plus 6,367. Bringing down this plus y equals 39,189. Now we have an equation with just y's in it. Because remember, this part was our x. X equals y plus 6,367. And then plus this y equals 39,189. Now we have an equation with just y's in it, so we can solve for y. Combining like terms, y plus y will give us 2y plus 6,367 equals 39,189. Getting y by itself. So this 6,367 is adding to y. We're going to do the opposite, and we're going to subtract 6,367 from both sides. That way 6,367 minus 6,367 will give us 0. They'll cancel out. We're left with 2y equals 39,189 minus 6,367 will give us 32,822. Almost there, getting y by itself. I want to get rid of that 2. That 2 is multiplying, so we're going to do the opposite, and we're going to divide both sides by 2. We are left with y equals 32,822 divided by 2 will give us 16,411. So this is students. So y was the number of students that studied in the second most popular host country. So 6,411 students studied in the second most popular, if I could spell it right this time, host country. Boom, there's first one. So we found how many are in the second most popular, and now we can use that, plugging it into either equation to solve for x to see how many were in the most popular host country. We can use either equation. I want to try to find out what x equals. The second equation is already x equals, so I'm going to use that one. So x equals y plus 6,367. We know that y is 16,411. So x equals 16,411 plus our 6,367. That will give us our x equals 22,778 students studied in the most popular host country. So there we go. Another one done. Another one done. All right. Moving right along. So a woman bought some large frames. I forgot to write the word large in here. For $19 each, and some small frames for $7 each at a closeout sale. If she bought 25 frames for $247, find how many of each type she bought. So we need to find our variables. So we need to find how many of each type she bought. So we're gonna let x equal the number of large frames. You can use whatever variable you want, but x and y is usually our go-to. And y is gonna be the number of small frames. Those are the two things we're looking for. So now we can write our equation. So it says if she bought 25 frames total, so that'll tell me however many large frames, which is X, plus however many small frames, which is Y, is gonna give us 25 frames total. And in total, she spent $247, $19 for each large frame. So $19 times however many large frames she bought, which is X, plus $7, which is the amount she spent for each small frame, times Y, times however many small frames she bought, will give us our total of $247. So we have our two. We can either solve by elimination or substitution. We did the last two by substitution, so we'll use elimination this time. So we're gonna use elimination to solve the system. So I can choose to either eliminate X or Y, doesn't matter. I'm gonna choose to eliminate Y. So that means if I have my two equations, I'm just gonna rewrite them. Either way, it totally doesn't matter. But if I wanna eliminate my Y's, if this is positive 7X, this top one has to be negative, if this is positive 7Y, this top one has to be negative 7Y. So that means I need to multiply everything on this top equation by a negative 7 in order to make my Y's eliminate. So negative 7 times X, negative 7X, negative 7 times Y, negative 7Y equals negative 7 times 25 will give us negative 175. The second equation is already set up with positive 7Y for us, so I don't have to change it, it's good to go. And we can add the two equations together. So that way negative 7X plus 19X will give us 12X. Negative 7Y plus 7Y cancels out, goes to 0, equals negative 175 plus 247 will give us 72. Almost done getting X by itself. We're going to divide both sides by 12. And we're left with X equals 72 divided by 12 will be 6. Remember, 6 is the number of large frames. So she bought 6 large frames. And now we can use that to find how many small frames she bought. So plugging that back into either equation, I'm going to choose to plug it into the first one because it looks easier. X plus Y equals 25. We know X is 6, so 6 plus Y equals 25. Getting Y by itself, we're going to subtract 6 from both sides. We are left with Y equals 25 minus 6 is 19. And 19 is the number of small frames, so 19 small frames. And there we go. Another one's done. Moving right along. One number is 8 less than the second number. 3 times the first is 8 more than 5 times the second. Find the numbers. So, just like last time, what are we looking for? We're looking to find the two numbers. So we're gonna let X equal one number. And we're gonna let Y equal the other number. Real original. The other number. All right. So now I need to use what they gave us to write an equation. So it says one number, here we go with our X, is so equals 8 less than the second number. So whatever the second number is, 8 less than that. So Y minus 8. There we go with our first equation. X equals Y minus 8. Over here, 3 times the first. So 3 times the first number, which is X, is so equals 8 more. So 8 plus 5 times the second. So 5 times Y. Boom, there we go with our second equation. So 3x equals 8 plus 5y. We have two equations. We can now set this up. we can either use elimination or substitution. This already has x equals for us, so let's use substitution to solve the system. So if we have 3x, we know x is the same thing as saying y minus 8 equals 8 plus 5y. We now have an equation with just y's. We can solve for y. Let's distribute 3 times y is 3y. 3 times negative 8 is negative 24 equals 8 plus 5y. Getting its y by itself. So let's bring this 3y over here with the 5y. So let's subtract positive 3y minus 3y goes to 0. We're left with negative 24 equals 8. 5y minus 3y will give us plus 2y. Still trying to get y by itself. We're going to subtract 8 from both sides. Negative 24 minus 8 will give us negative 32 equals 2y. Last but not least, getting y by itself, we're going to divide both sides by 2. Negative 32 divided by 2 will give us negative 16 equals y. So negative 16 is one number. Plugging that back into either one doesn't matter. Let's plug it into the first one to try to solve for x. So x equals y minus 8. We know that y is negative 16, so x equals negative 16 minus 8. Which is negative 24. So one number is negative 24, the other number is negative 16, and we have another one done. Three more. So at a concession stand, 5 hot dogs and 2 hamburgers cost $9. That's pretty good. 2 hot dogs and 5 hamburgers cost $12. Find the cost of 1 hot dog and the cost of 1 hamburger. Boom, there we go. The cost of 1 hot dog is going to be our x value. That's what we're looking for. The other thing we're looking for is the cost of 1 hamburger. That's going to be our y value. So x is the cost of 1 hot dog. Y is the cost of 1 hamburger. It's kind of already there, so we don't have to write it all out. So it says 5 hot dogs, so 5 hot dogs is x, and 2 hamburgers, so plus 2, our cost of 1 hamburger is y, is $9, so equals 9. 2 hot dogs, so 2x, and 5 hamburgers, so plus 5 hamburgers is y, equals $12. Boom, we have our 2 equations. We have our 2 equations. We can solve this using either elimination or substitution. Let's use elimination. Totally up to you. Okay, so we need to choose to either eliminate x or y. Totally up to you. I'm going to choose to eliminate x. So this one's 5x, this one's 2x. I know in order to make them the same, they have to be 10x. One has to be positive, one has to be negative. So this first one, let's make this positive 10x. So in order to make it positive 10x, we're going to need to multiply everything by 2. So distributing 2 times 5x will give us that positive 10x we're looking for. 2 times 2y will give us plus 4y equals 2 times 9 will give us 18. So we have that first one set up of positive 10x we're looking for. The next one we want to do negative 10x. So if it's 2x, I need to multiply everything by negative 5 to make it negative 10x. So negative 5 times 2x will give us negative 10x. Negative 5 times 5y will give us negative 25y equals negative 5 times 12 will give us negative 60. We now have it set up to add these 2 equations together. 10x minus 10x goes to 0. They cancel out to what we wanted. 4y minus 25y will give us negative 21y equals 18 minus 60 will give us negative 42. Getting y by itself, we're going to divide both sides by negative 21. We're left with y equals 2. Remember, y was our cost of one hamburger, so $2 per hamburger. $2 per hamburger. So we solved that one. Now we need to find out the cost of the hot dogs. So we can plug that into either equation. Let's choose to plug it into the first one. So 5x plus 2y equals 9. We know y is 2, so we can plug that in. 5x plus 2 times 2 equals 9. 5x, 2 times 2 is 4, equals 9. Getting x by itself, we're going to subtract 4 from both sides. We're left with 5x equals 5. Dividing by 5, we are left with x equals 5 divided by 5 is 1. Remember, the x was the cost of one hot dog, so it's $1 per hot dog. So $1 for a hot dog, $2 for a hamburger. We solved another problem. Moving on to the next one. The perimeter of a triangle is 87 centimeters. If two sides are equally long and the third side is 9 centimeters longer than the others, find the length of the three sides. So let's draw a picture. So we know that two sides are the same length. So if these two sides are the same, let's call it, x and x. And the third side is 9 centimeters longer. So whatever x is plus 9 more. The perimeter, remember perimeter is adding up all the sides. Is 87 centimeters. So 87 will give us x plus x plus x plus 9. Our one side, second side, third side. So now we have an equation. So now we can just solve this equation. Let's just label this. So this will be our side 1, side 2, and this will give us our side 3. So now we have an equation. Now we can solve this, combining like terms. 87 equals x plus x plus x will give us 3x plus 9. Getting x by itself, we're going to subtract 9 from both sides. So 87 minus 9 will give us 78 equals 3x. Dividing both sides by 3 to get x by itself. We are left with 78 divided by 3 is 26 equals x. So that means this side is 26. We're talking about centimeters. This side is the same, so 26 centimeters. And this last side is 26 centimeters plus 9 more. So 26 plus 9 will give us 35 centimeters. So our three sides are 26 centimeters, 26 centimeters, and 35 centimeters. Last problem for this section. So Primo Car Rental Agency charges $27 per day plus 10 cents per mile. Ultimo Car Rental Agency charges $33 per day plus 65 cents per mile. Find the daily mileage for which the Ultimo charge is 4 times the Primo charge. So we're trying to find the daily mileage. So how many miles per day? So let's call that X. So we have, this one's a little bit different. So we have Primo Car Rental Agency, which we're going to call P, charges $27 per day plus 10 cents per mile. So 10 cents, so 0.10 times however many miles we go to said was X. Boom, there's our first equation. P equals 27 plus 0.10x. The other one is Ultimo. So U charges $33 per day plus 65 cents times however many miles you're going, so times X. So there's another equation. U equals $33 plus 65 cents per mile, so 0.65 times X, how many miles you go. Last but not least, says find the daily mileage for which the primo charge, it says for which the ultimo charge, so U, is, so equals 4 times the primo, so 4 times primo, so 4 times P. So we have 3 equations this time. So that's a lot. I don't like having 3 equations. Let's go ahead and plug stuff in. So I know for this second one, we're going to use substitution to solve the system. So here we go. If we know U is 4 times P, we know that U is $33 plus 0.65 times X equals 4 times, we know our P value is 27 plus 0.10x. So we use substitution. Now we only have X's. That's what we wanted to solve for, so we're good to go. So let's go ahead and distribute. So 33 plus 0.65x equals 4 times 27 will give us 108, plus 4 times 0.10x will give us 0.40x. We're now going to combine like terms. Let's bring this 0.40x over with the 0.65x. So we're going to subtract 0.40x from both sides. That'll leave us with 33. 0.65x minus 0.40x will give us plus 0.25x equals 108, and those cancel out. We're getting closer. So combining like terms, let's bring this 33 over here with this 108. So we're going to subtract 33 from both sides. That way those cancel. We're left with 0.25x equals 108 minus 33, which is 75. Last but not least, dividing both sides by 0.25 to get x by itself. We're left with x equals 75 divided by 0.25 will give us 300. Remember, x was the number of daily miles, so 300 miles is our answer. So in 300 miles, you have to go 300 miles per day, so that way ultimo charge is 4 times the primo charge. So we found out how many miles our daily mileage is, we found out x, so we're done. So this is the notes for Module 10, Homework 1.